Marianne had always had a knack for finding unique items and turning a profit on eBay. With countless sellers dealing in antiques, she had adopted a different approach to stand out, by claiming that her items had dark pasts or were even haunted. To her, this was merely a clever marketing strategy, nothing more. After all, who would genuinely believe such tales? One sunny morning, she found herself at a local estate sale. Rows of items awaited their new owners, but Marianne's focus quickly settled on a wholesale lot of old dolls. They seemed to promise a good profit, especially given the steal of a price she'd managed to hackle them down to. But there was one doll that stood apart. Its eyes, unusually large, were a deep, lustrous black. Those eyes seemed to draw her in, and she felt an eerie allure she couldn't explain. The doll's fingers were elongated, not like the gentle, human-looking fingers of the other dolls. Intrigued, Marianne immediately pictured how she would list it, emphasizing its unusual features and playing up the haunted angle. As soon as she posted the listing, the bids started pouring in. The doll's photograph, highlighting its shiny black eyes and long fingers, was an instant hit. By the end of the 7-day auction, the doll had fetched a price over $500 more than she'd paid for the entire lot of dolls. She was simply ecstatic. Life went on, and Marianne continued with her daily eBay listings. About a month later, a message popped up in her eBay inbox. It was from the buyer of the black-eyed doll. The message read, "Did this doll ever cause harm to anyone? Strange things have started happening since it arrived." Marianne's life on eBay was one of routine until she received this unsettling message from the buyer of the black-eyed doll. The tales of strange occurrences in the buyer's house gnawed at her, and in the nights that followed, she couldn't shake off an eerie feeling that lingered in the air. She never believed any object could carry anything strange, let alone paranormal with it. She assumed the woman simply wanted to return the doll, as she may have felt she paid too much for it. Then, a couple of months later, the postman delivered a package on her doorstep. There was no return address, just her own details scribbled on the label. Curious and slightly apprehensive, Marianne carefully unwrapped it. Inside was the black-eyed doll. Its shiny eyes seemed to pierce through her very soul. Accompanying it was a note, written hastily, "Please take this back." A cold dread washed over Marianne. She placed the doll in her living room, intending to figure out what to do with it later. But as night descended, odd things began to happen. The lights flickered sporadically. The wind howled in ways she had never heard before, and she could have sworn she heard soft whispers emanating from the room where the doll sat. The following morning, she decided she wouldn't ever keep the doll. With its history and the strange events of the previous night, she knew it didn't belong in her home or on her eBay store. Without much thought, she took the doll to a local antique store. She hoped it would find a new home, somewhere it could be appreciated without causing fear. "I've got something special for you," she told the shopkeeper, trying to keep her voice steady. The shopkeeper, an elderly man with a keen eye for rare items, examined the doll closely. Those black, shiny eyes seemed to hold his gaze. "It's an interesting piece," he remarked. "Has a certain aura about it." Marianne simply nodded, choosing not to delve into its backstory. She left the store with a sense of relief, hoping she had done the right thing. Weeks passed, and life returned to normal for Marianne. However, every now and then, she would find herself wondering about the doll's whereabouts and if it had found a place where it could rest without causing turmoil. One day, while strolling downtown, Marianne decided to visit the antique store. As she browsed, she noticed a familiar figure on a shelf at the back. The black-eyed doll sat there, still and silent, its presence commanding attention. The elderly shopkeeper approached her. "No one seems to want to buy that doll. People say it gives them an uneasy feeling. But it's a unique piece, isn't it?" Marianne nodded, her heart heavy with a mix of guilt and fear. She left the store, hoping that the doll would remain just an object, a relic of the past, and nothing more. But deep down, she knew that some things, no matter how hard you try to forget, have a way of reminding you of their existence.